Good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View this morning. What a day Boxing Day was. What an absolutely brilliant day. Let's put the table up a bit. What a brilliant day Boxing Day was. The scoreline yesterday at Celtic Park was a scoreline that some of us didn't really think was achievable because, let's face it, Motherwell have had some good games against us recently. But there was a penalty incident. There was a penalty incident yesterday. And I'm going to show you this. I need to move this way. I need to move this way so I can get this screen as big as we can. Because when you look at this incident, and it was an incident that was given for a foul against Celtic. It was an incident that was given for a foul against Celtic, but there's an ex-referee has come out and said that it should have been a penalty to Celtic. Yes, it should have been a penalty to Celtic. Let me just lower the screen slightly. And I'm going to take it back to here. Now you see Dyson Myra coming in from the edge of the box. Their goalkeeper and the defender make a mess of it. The Motherwell player slams the goalkeeper into the back of the net. The two of them go into the back of the net. The ball comes out. Dyson Myra goes to header the ball into the net, and there's a high foot. Yes, look at the foot against the head. For me, if that's anywhere else in the park, it's called straight away. Now, if he kicks Dyson Myra in the head, that's a facial injury. I mean, Dyson should have stayed down holding his head, screaming like a... some players that do that on a regular basis. But then the ball was kicked up by the defender. Now people say, well, the defender got the ball. But look how high his foot is. It is a high foot situation. And it's a situation, as far as I'm concerned, should have been called as a penalty. Now, the next passage of play, the ball does come up. And the Motherwell defender comes running out. This is slowing it down and zoomed in a bit. I mean, you could see Dyson going for the head to header the ball into the net. And I mean, that's a penalty all day long. Penalty all day long. I think Dyson just pulls his head out of the way in the last minute so he doesn't get smashed off the face. But then you see the Motherwell defender that reacts to the ball coming back out the way. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because he does do his Superman impersonation at this point, the Motherwell player. He comes running out and Paulo Bernardo goes to get the ball, and he's going down already. You see here, he's got one foot that's went strangely close to Paulo Bernardo. He also has put his head down to try and and realising that Paulo Bernardo's not going to play a high foot, which would result in a free kick. He decides to just pretend that he is Superman and completely throws himself to the ground. And you see Paulo Bernardo at that point taking umbrage with the fact that, yes, he doesn't have a cape on and he's not a superhero. I think the superheroes on the day were St. Mirren. Yes, I think St. Mirren were the true superheroes yesterday. But when you see this slowed down again, I mean, it was the referee could not wait to give the free kick at that point. He could not wait to give the free kick at that point. Now you see the Dyson Myra, you see Dyson coming in at this point. And trying to get the goal from the keeper. Tries to get the goal. Comes back in. I mean, it was a cracking shot by Dyson. Cracking save by the keeper. But his own player smashes him into the back of the net. Dyson comes back to get the rebound. The rebound that's coming from the keeper. And you see the foot here. I mean, that's a high... Dyson pulls his head. He turns his head just at the last minute. He sees the boot coming. If he didn't see the boot coming, he's getting smashed off the side of the face by the guy's boot. And at that point, I mean, I think that's Callum McGregor in the background with his arms in the air saying that that's a penalty. And the referee's right behind him. I mean, the referee can say that he never seen it, but, in this day and age with VAR and everything, it wasn't even looked at by VAR. Callum McGregor's shouting for the penalty behind him, and then it's just more slowed down action. I mean, that's a penalty all day long for high boot. It's a penalty all day long. Tell me what you think in the comments. Do you think it was a penalty, or should we just not bother about it? We won 4-0 at the end of the day. But when there's a team across the city that has been moaning all week about the VAR situation and ultimately not getting a penalty, and this is a situation that is played out at the Celtic game yesterday. I mean, we just take it back to the dive. I mean, this dive is unbelievable. I mean, he's actually putting his head down, similar to what Dyson Maida did, straight away. I mean, you see him, he's almost bent over. So you know exactly what he's about to do. He's trying to get the free kick for a high foot, which we just had a similar situation just 3 seconds before. And then this dive is unbelievable. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, he actually dives with his back leg. Like he's flying through the air. He does fly through the air. But, I mean, the first thing you see as well is the Motherwell player that kicks the ball out turns and looks at the ref to see which way he's going to give it. And then you see the Celtic player in the background with his arms still up. And Dyson Maida at this point still on the ground. And you've got to remember also, watch the goalkeeper. Watch the goalkeeper who is behind the net. The goalkeeper gets up and then he dives down. Look, the goalkeeper dives down. No one near him. No one near the goalkeeper. And then the goalkeeper collapses back down onto the ground next to Dyson Maida to cover up the fact that it should have been a penalty. This is what you're up against in Scottish football, and tell me what you think in the comments section about that. And it was an interesting one. It didn't affect the result of the day, and let's face it, it didn't reflect the joy that we had last night and this morning. The fact that we are now sitting 12 points clear at the top of the table. And if I do move this down just to here, then we can click on the table. We can see the table. Yes, we are sitting 12 points clear at the top of the table. And you've got to feel, what is Aberdeen doing? It's complete. Aberdeen have just had an implosion, haven't they? I'll just take this over there. I mean, Aberdeen could have been so far ahead of that other lot. I mean, they've just completely, they've Hibsed it. Aberdeen, they've what you call Hibsed it, haven't they? But anyway, who cares about them? It's all about Celtic and the fact that we are that 12-point gap at the top of the table going into the 1st of January. Yep, and historically, whoever's at the top of the table come January usually goes on to win the league, you say. But we're in such a comfortable position. I think that Celtic could ultimately finish the league, winning the league by roughly about 20 points. Do you think it could be a 20-point gap? And will they ultimately punt their manager? Anyway, Brendan Rodgers was talking about Arne Engels. A lot of people in the chat over the last couple of days saying that Arne Engels hasn't been worth the money that Celtic paid for him, and saying that the money that we've paid, it was too much, and he's not worth it. As a young player, I have said, give the lad time. He's a lad that's came into a new country, new surroundings, with a lot of pressure on him because of the price tag. Now, if we brought him for 1 or 2 million, there'd be no issues whatsoever with the price tag. And I think that people in Scotland definitely put added pressure onto players due to a price tag. They think if we pay more than £5-6 million for a player, it should be a player that's performing at the highest level every single game. That's what you're paying for, isn't it? No, you're actually paying for the fact that this guy's 21-year-old, he's got fantastic ability. When you look at the 21-year-olds within the Celtic team at the moment, and especially our B team, they're not getting game time at Celtic. The fact that Arne Engels has that calm composure to slot penalties away, and I think it's his 4th penalty for Celtic that he's scored away. You've got to remember, we had missed a few penalties at the start of the season before he came in. And I think his first 2 goals was penalties. So the fact that he's taken that pressure on the head and he's going with it. But Brendan Rodgers spoke about the situation yesterday after the game. He said, I think it's about time with him. He said to the Celtic boss, he's really enjoying his time here. I've taken him out of some games to let him see what it's like from the outside and take the pressure away from him. It's a big move and everything that comes with it. Now, you can understand why Brendan Rodgers is doing that, because when you're on the pitch and you're at that age, he's never come through the system at Celtic. So he's not really seen what it's like from the side of the pitch than what the manager sees. And he'll learn more by listening to what Brendan Rodgers is shouting to the players on the pitch and analysing it, and Brendan and the backroom staff will be telling him, look, do you see why we did that? Why we did this? Why we're telling him to move there? This is why you should make this run. And he'll get a lot better football education. Brendan Rodgers always talks about the young players and football education. I think some people within our support forget the fact that Arne Engels is only 21. In football terms, he's just a baby. Yes, in football terms, he is just a baby and he's at the start of his career. And people will say, look, he cost 11 million, he should be far better. Give the lad time, I say. And the fact that Brendan did take him away from games so that he could see the game from the outside and see everything that comes with it. Not just the pressure on the pitch, but how the fans react off the pitch and the noise from the stadium and even the whistle. I mean, if you've ever heard Brendan Rodgers whistle when you're at a game, I mean, even though there's 60,000 people in the stadium at Celtic Park, by God, you can hear Brendan whistle. And it's something that he manages to do well to get his attention to with players on the pitch. Brendan Rodgers then went on to say, he's been excellent in training. He's only going to get better and better. Even Brendan Rodgers said. Arne Engels has come out and said himself. He said, look, I've still got a lot of learning to do. I've still got a lot of progression to do. I know I can play better. He is only the first 6 months into his Celtic contract, but there's a lot of pressure because of the price tag, and that is it. His ball from the corner was absolutely great, Brendan says. I'm really pleased with Arne. Celtic were they frustrated in the first half, the game yesterday. I think that Motherwell played similar way to the way that Dundee United played, and they went with that compact midfield in front of goals. Not every team is going to be as good as Dundee United and be able to maintain that type of play. Motherwell did want to come out and play an attack. That was the only difference between Dundee United and Motherwell, was Motherwell wanted to try and have a go and score some goals. It's where Dundee United set their stall out to make sure that Celtic could not score goals. They weren't interested. If they got a break, it was a lucky break and they would get up the pitch. But Dundee United's main aim and their style of play against Celtic was to make sure that it was compact in front of the box so Celtic could not walk through into the net the way that we try and do. Motherwell, that's when it opened up a bit and you see the quality that shined through. I thought that everyone had a decent game yesterday. Yang had some fantastic moves. He is a player that is growing on me. He's a player that needs to progress. Can he progress? I thought Brendan Rodgers made some fantastic changes at the right time. It's just a shame that James Forrest is out injured for 6 weeks, because this is the perfect time for James Forrest to come on in the later stages of games and get goals. But it was another game where there was no goals from strikers. Yes, there was no goals from strikers, but it is what it is. When you look at it overall, the stats were perfect. The possession of play was fine. When you look at the stats for passes, the pass accuracy was at 93% yesterday, and that's something that we always look on after the live. Anyway, tell me what you think about that penalty decision. There is some other news kicking around about the Adidas thing that was mentioned a few weeks ago, and it looks like Celtic will not be an elite member of Adidas, which means that we won't be getting extra merchandise. We'll just be getting the standard merchandise from Adidas next season. And some people say, thank goodness, because let's face it, the amount of merchandise that Celtic put out, they've kind of been ripping the fans a few quid, haven't they? They've been milking it for as much as they can. But the fact that there has been a headline this morning saying the following, it does say that Celtic, after a story that did come out, that Celtic were going to be classed as an elite club when their contract is extended. It's now they're not they're being placed as a local elite club tier. I don't know what that means, but it says that they're now in a local elite club tier. Means we're the best in the country, doesn't it? Anyway, if you haven't watched some of the crazy videos from yesterday, make sure that you check out these videos here. And on that note, have an absolutely fantastic day. And I'm sure we'll be back for Brendan Rodgers' press conferences for the game for the weekend. And on that note, have an absolutely fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are, all around the world.